Hello, boys and girls. Once again, it's Mike Kelly here for AnimatorsForum.com. Hopefully, my cat won't wake up and want to be fed. If that happens, I'm going to stop the disrupt the recording here. We'll start again. But for the moment, I'm going to show you a brand new tool I have that's available free of charge, as all the tools. But this one I'm going to put in the public area, so you don't even have to be a member of our forum if you want to just come in and grab the tool. However, if you do want to use the tool, I suspect you are going to want to be a member of the forum, if nothing more than just to ask questions about it. And I'm going to try to cover as much as possible here, but there's a lot involved in this, and I'm going to write up the rest of it on the forum where it's easier to remember. But so what this is Walk Assist. Now, those of you that have been doing animation for any period of time know that creating walks is one of the things that's very vital and important in your animation. Character walks. Can't create enough character walks, and you can't use the same character walk for each character because it just isn't right. And every character walk demonstrates a lot of things about that character. And so, and what I hate about character walks, there's a couple things I really hate about doing them. Well, let me show you first. We're going to bring up everybody's fanboy favorite Cyclops, Leela, and one of the things I really hate about doing walks is that a lot of times you have to either create them. If you want to walk in place, you have to create the walk in place, which is really tough for me. I've never been very good at doing that. But the other thing I hate is trying to mirror the other side. You get one step working just perfectly, and then trying to get the other side to be approximately equal is really tough. So this tool, Walk Assist, attempts to help with that process. And the other thing it does, it also does one other major thing that's kind of important, and I'll show you about that too. But first, let's go through Walk Assist. So, those of you that don't already have Richard Williams' book, those of you that do know what I'm talking about, the Animator Survival Kit. If there's one particular book that every animator in the world should have, it's Richard Williams' Animator Survival Kit. And he goes into a long dissertation about character walks. Matter of fact, a lot of the book is devoted to that, but that's not the only good stuff. There's lots of good stuff in that book. Tremendous book. But here's one of the just a portion of one of the pages of that book to show you about walks. So we're going to create a walk for this character. I'm going to show you how Walk Assist works. So in the Williams book, you'll see it. These are the critical positions in a standard walk. So if you can see. Matter of fact, I'm going to move this over so we can see the different positions here. So you have the contact position where the foot first makes contact with the ground, that heel there. And then you can see the down position, body comes all the way down, the foot goes flat there. Then the passing position, which the backstage leg in this particular case, or upstage leg, passes the downstage leg, the leg is straight up. The up position, fully extended, heel off the ground, toe pushing the body all the way up. See the head goes way up like that. And then back to the contact position now on the opposite leg. So we're starting here with the downstage leg. We finish with the upstage leg. And then you have to do all of these positions for that leg. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if I just had to do these 4 positions? Or for a run cycle, there's a few more. But basically just do half. Just do the positions and then let it mirror the rest. And so that's what Walk Assist does, among other things, among some other very important other things. So we'll go to Leela. And Walk Assist, when you're in Walk Assist, here's the thing for it. And the first thing you'll notice, I hope, is that by default, it manipulates bones. So we're going to make a pose here. We're going to pose this contact position here. And this is the downstage leg. So this leg has to cross in front here. And the upstage leg goes back. You can see it's back here and slightly bent there. The heel is kind of up off the ground a little bit like that. The arm comes back here. This is the downstage arm, and it's kind of bent in that direction there. And I'm going to grab the root. One of the other things about Walk Assist is if I press either the Control or the Alt key, I can grab the root and then bring it down. All the other keys rotate, but the root key, of course, can rotate in addition, but it also can adjust the position of the character. So that's how I adjust the position of the character. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on onion skin so that I can see where I'm at and I'm going to put an onion skin on that particular layer. Then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on any one portion of the limb, and that creates keys for all the limbs and the root as well. It's like a hold key for that positional. So so now I've created this. I'm going to go forward 4 frames, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is I mean, you can make the walk slower, faster, but you can always adjust that later on, so that's not a big deal. Now the second position, you see, is a fully down position, leg out further. So his leg comes out a little further, her leg, I should say, and the knee then is bent then because we're going to come all the way down with that foot. Foot's going to be flat, so I'm going to turn that foot flat. Back position, you can see the leg stretched out even further and comes up a little bit here, there, and then full heel up there. Arms then come out further, like that. And then I have to adjust, so I'm going to take the root and move it so that the foot, so that heel contacts right there, and I'm going to adjust that to make that a little flatter. So if I go back and forth, you can see that the foot kind of flakily comes up a little bit. I don't actually like the way it kind of comes up like that, a little too much. It should actually come out further, so I'm going to adjust this like this, and have this a little bit there, like that. There. Okay. Now, and you know, this, I don't want to take too long to create this because it probably will be boring to a lot of you, but hopefully you're going to see the value of this when we get to where we're actually. So now that I'm creating the passing position, it's difficult to. It's like chewing gum and talking at the same time. I'm finding the arms come down. So what I'm doing is I'm creating this position here, this passing position. So bring the arms down. This arm. Whoops. And I noticed something is that there's not keys on this position. I forgot to double click here because you notice those keys started to move there on there. So I need to adjust the key for that and double click on there so it creates keys for all of the arms, and make sure I do that on the legs too. Okay, and then move here, and so the passing position, this one comes down, whoops, down. Wait till you get old and your eyes work as badly as mine do. Okay, and then I want to adjust the character's foot position, the whole body position, so that they're, see how they're coming down. Now you notice that their foot kind of goes through the pavement there. So I can make those adjustments still and put other keys in so that I'm matching that right up to the foot. I'm not going to get overly paranoid about foot slippage. Some people absolutely hate foot slippage. To me, if you get it close enough, people aren't going to notice when in a fast walk or even in a reasonably powered walk. Okay, so there we go. So now I'm doing the up position, full up position, so that downstage leg is now going to come all the way here and toe pointing there, stretching out. This now the upstage leg is going to come through here, and that's really about all I have to do. And the downstage arm comes this direction, breaks a little bit that way, a little bit, maybe not that much. And then the upstage arm goes back, like comme ça. And now I have to adjust for again, for this foot position. I'm going to want to keep the foot position correct. So I move that up like that. So now I've got a little bit of slippage there. I'm well aware that there's silence here, and it's like a radio show. You never want to be a lot of silence. Okay, so there's the full position, and then I'm set. And this is where I'm at for my full walk. This arm could come all the way back and like that. Okay, so there's the first step. And in previous years past, I would have to then create all the additional steps. And notice I was also able to do it not walk in place. I'm going to show you this in a second. So now I'm here, I'm done. I like this, so now I'm going to just go and mirror this. And I want to be at about 4 frames again from where I was last, because that's the spacing of the step. And I click mirror, and so what it does now, it creates the other side of that step. So you can see that it moves pretty good and does the spacing out, and I don't have to do that anymore. I'm going to turn this off so you don't have to see that anymore, and you can watch her walk. And that's really pretty good. And if I needed to make any kind of slight adjustments, I would. But you know, if she's walking in a regular animation like that's animation speed, looks really good. She might say, well, Mike, well, that's really good, but I want my characters to walk in place. Okay, well, that's no problem. You can erase. We'll start here. So if we wanted to walk in place, we would do the same thing, create those first steps. But now we go over here, we walk in place, and we do mirror. And now she walks in place. So same principle. It's just a lot easier to create the walk by lining up the feet, and then you can get the walk in place to look good. Now, once you get things that you like, then you can come up here and you can save those animations. And it will save all the bone positions, and then you can load them in. Again, I'm not going to save this particular one because I've got other animations I like much better. But I'm going to show you how the load animation thing works. So let's say I'm at frame 30. And the load animation is relative to wherever the character is. So for example, right now, I'm going to move this character back to the start here. And now if I loaded an animation from this point on, it will be effective from where she is. So I load in, for example, the Leela stride, which I kind of like. And then she starts off and does her stride right from that position. Now, the other thing you can do is you can load in multiple occurrences of things. So, for example, if I want to have, I have the Allison jump. Instead of loading it in once, I can load it in as many times as I want, and that kind of cycles it. So if I load it in 2 and go to the Allison jump, then I get this. And then naturally you can combine animations. So after she does this jump, then at the end of this animation, I can then switch to a single one and then do a backflip. So now she comes in here and then jumps backflip like that. So it isn't, you aren't just limited to runs or walks or cycles. You can have other kinds of animations. I have a climbing stairs one so that you can, oh, I'm sorry, I did the jump again. Let's get rid of that. I have a climbing stairs one that I will load in. So that person then, she can climb stairs at that point. It's very athletic. Leela, this would be about right for Leela because Leela's pretty athletic. Now, the bone animations are saved. You might say, well, how does it be able to do that? The animations are saved using the bone names. So obviously characters have to have liked names, or at least some like names. It will try to load in whatever names it can find. So for example, if we go to Character Wizard, now my names, I use a different naming convention than everybody in the world. No, I don't. I use the naming convention that comes from 3D world because that's where I come from. But a lot of people in the 2D world don't use that naming convention. What I've tried to do is I have a translator that will translate the naming conventions. So for example, if I go, we'll do a new file here, and I'll load in a bear with me, folks. I never use Character Wizard, but here's Character Wizard, and it uses a completely different naming convention than I do. But even though it does, I can still, theoretically, in theory, if I'm doing this right here, I can load in the Allison jump file, and yeah, and it even works with that. What it does is it goes through and it finds, there's some naming conventions I support. I support all the prefixes of U and D, and if we go to bones here. So this, I also support suffixes. So L, space R, space, what do I do? Space U, space D, space, I'm trying to think about all the suffixes I support. My own particular preference, I'm going to open up something. I want to show you this one here. My bones, I use the prefix. So I use U and for upstage and D for downstage. But what happens is when it saves the bones, it will translate the saving of it and also load it back in correctly. So it really doesn't matter as long as you follow some convention, and as long as the conventions are ones I support, it will translate it properly for you. The other thing it'll do, I don't know if you noticed this, but this guy's a lot shorter than Leela or Allison, and you don't know Allison, but trust me, he's a lot shorter. And yet, when it loads in the animations, it correctly adjusts. So what it does is it takes the bone lengths and also correctly adjusts it for the most part. I can't tell you it's perfect. Some animations, I think if I try a backflip on this guy, it doesn't work very good because Allison has such very long legs that on this backflip, this guy would smack his head. Yes, he would kind of smack his head and hurt himself, but for the most part, it works, and then you can make adjustments as you go. And I think I'm going to include some of the animations in here, but you can also create your own. You can save them, you can trade them, you can exchange them. As long as you use a reasonable method of naming your bones, it should handle most. And if it doesn't, if there's some particular naming convention you want me to support, get on our forum, write it down. I'll put it in there. Maybe we'll make a universal translator yet. What else was I going to show you about this? A couple other things. Oh, yeah. Most people make their characters left to right, because we read left to right, so that they face to the right. I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see this. I don't know if there's enough contrast here on the screen, but this is the default origin settings. So for Anime Studios, it comes up. Notice it has the arrows pointing to the right and to up. That's because that's just a default standard. The X goes from small x to large X. Y goes from large Y to small y. If you create your characters the other way around, if you create them facing left, then the animations will load funny. And I'm not even going to load an example, but trust me, it will load very oddly. What my system attempts to do is it attempts to tell if you've created your character back asswards. And if it does that, then it will check this mark automatically, character origin left, and will load in the bone transformations in the other way around. If, for example, your character is suddenly walking backwards, if, for example, I was going to go, let me clear the animation. I'll show you what it looks like if you did this. If I checked this mark now, and then I loaded in, let's say, the Allison jump. Now what's going to happen is the animation is loaded backwards. You can see it doesn't look right. So if you load in something and it doesn't look right, you can try checking this and see if that improves things. It will, like I say, attempt to make a good guess about it, but it doesn't always guess correctly. Another thing is, if you may not name your bones at all. I hope you are, because that's a good standard to get into. But if you don't name your bones, you can't really either save or load in animations. So this helps facilitate that process. If you click on a bone here, it has a name here, but you can also rename your limbs. And if, for example, this didn't have any names on it at all, and I just put a D in here, and then I made sure that this arm was checked, and I said rename, what it would do is it would go through and create names for all of these limbs that match up to my naming convention. So I can show you that real quick. If I zero out these names here, there we go. Zero that out. And now I put a D in for a prefix to, oops, there we go, D. And then I rename, that prefix didn't work. Why did it not work? Rename, oh, that's because, that's weird. Maybe do I have to put in one? I might have to put in one name. I can't remember how I do this. Oh yeah, that did it. Okay, yeah, okay, so you got to put in one name. So I put in one name for the bicep, and then it correctly renamed everything else. So you can do that. So that's one way around naming your limbs. And at least if you have your limbs named correctly, then it will detect the root bone automatically. So most animations will load in pretty good with that. So I think that's everything. There's other things it does. Oh yeah, I know one thing it does. I forgot to show you this. Let me show you this real quick. We'll load in. Oh yeah, I'll show you this. This is kind of cool actually. It works on even characters with more than 4 legs. In this particular case, there's a horse, and if I go to mirror the horse, now bear with me because the front legs work fine. I haven't got the back legs of this horse animation working very well, so I'm working on it. I'm not really good with 4 legs. But the principle is it will do more than 2 legs. It'll do 4 legs if you want. But anyway, I wanted to show you something else. I wanted to show you the where's Leela? Leela walk assist demo. Let's go load that in, and again get rid of this. And if we load in Leela, let's say we'll load in. I'll load in this one. It's kind of an interesting run. So the character is moving. Oops. You know what I did? don't do what I just did, and it shouldn't have let me do that. You're not supposed to be able to load in animations on frame 0. You're supposed to only be able to load them in on beyond frame 0. Now that screwed up my my bones and everything. So let's do this again. I'll try to fix that before I send this out. Should not be able to load in animations on any frame other than 1 and beyond. So if I load in the fry run here, and notice she's moving the arms, but I decide, oh, you know, I like the run, but I don't want the arms to move. If I hold down Shift and then click on the arms, then it removes the animation from the arms. So it would do the same for the legs if you just wanted to keep the arm animation, but that's not as useful. This would be useful if, for example, she was carrying something. So now you could pose the arms and have her carry something while she ran or something. I don't know. Figure out something. You can also make adjustments in the body positions too, because the body isn't saved as part of that run. So anyway, that's the kind of thing you can do, and hopefully you'll enjoy this. I've gone on way too long. I'm sorry about that, guys. You'll find this at animatorsforum.com. Thanks again for watching, and we'll be seeing you around.